Hello everyone, welcome to the new video. In this video, I'll explain you how to perform a coach validation. So let's consider we have an example, something like in the screen we have a employee name, employee ID, and employee address detail. So on submission of the page, we need to validate whether a user has entered the employee ID or employee name or employee address detail. Okay. So these validation we need to do on click of submit button. So how we will develop this particular scenario in the BPM. So I'm gonna explain you. So for that quickly what I will do. So I'll create a client side human service to demonstrate it. So here you can see I already opened the process application. So which is loan application. So here we have already created we have already created um, a client side human services, but I'm not going to use it. I'll create a new client side human service, which is I name it as employee CHS. Okay, I'll name it as employee CHS and click on finish. So here the client side human service got created. So here you can see by default there is a coach is created and the name it as coach. So I'll rename this particular coach to a new name, which is employee UI. Okay. So you can see the diagram here. So by default, we'll get a OK button, and quickly I'll open the uh, uh, I'll open the coach. So here you can see by default coach is selected. I click on OK. Then I don't want to this OK button, which is already added by default. So I'll just delete it. So now I need a employee name and employee ID and also like employee address detail. Okay, as a UI screens. So to enter this employee name, I need a text box. So you can quickly search your text. Uh, I need a plain text. So that's the reason I selected a plain text. And similar way to employee ID also, I need a plain text. And to enter the address, okay, for address also I need a plain text. Okay, so first one I name it as EMP name, employee name, and employee ID, and third one is I mention it as EMP address. Okay, so I renamed it, uh, renamed it all the fields. So now on submit of the button, I need to do a validation now. Okay, so for that I need a button. So quickly search with the button, then I'll add it here. Okay, so the button name I rename it as submit. Okay, so now what happens on submit? We have to do a validation now. For that, again go back to the diagram. So to perform this validation, so we need a client side script. So quickly I'll add a client side script here. So from the palette you can drag and drop. So I rename it as validations. Okay. Then once the validation is done, so we need to check the error messages. Okay. So to check the error messages, I'll need a decision gateway. So I'll add a decision gateway here. This decision gateway error length. Okay. So I'll be checking whether the error length is greater than 0, then go back to the coach again. If error length is equal to 0, then go to end. Okay. The page should get completed. Okay. So I'll connect back to the the coach again. If error length is greater than 0. I can mention like length is greater than 0, okay, and length equal to 0. equal to 0. That is nothing but there is no errors in the page. Okay. So that's nothing but there is no validation is required. So all the validation has been covered. So the user, that means user has entered all the details. So I will be checking this error length is greater than 0. So for that, tw dot system dot coach validation dot validation errors dot length. If this length is greater than 0, then we need to redirect to the coach again. Other than that, it will get end. Okay. So now for us, okay, that's all the flow. But when you open the coach, we are not done any variable mapping here. Okay. So mm, how many fields we have? One, two, three. Three fields are there. So for that, I need to create a uh, mm, variables now. So I'm not gonna use the uh, business object. So I'll use simple private variables because I'm not gonna take any input and output. So I'm not gonna take anything input variables, and also I'm not sending anything as output. So that's the reason I don't. I'm not gonna use this input and output variable. I'll use only private variable. I'll name it as employee name and employee ID and employee address. Okay. So these are the three variables I have added, and now I can go back to the diagram, then open the coach. So here I need to bind the variables. So for employee name, I binded the employee name variable and employee ID. So I'll bind employee ID variable. Okay, for address, I'll bind employee address variable. Okay, so now on submit this one, I need to do a validation. If you see now, if I run here, again I'll go back to the diagram and run when I click on run. So here see the fields are displaying it, but currently on submit, I'm not entering any detail. But when I click on submit, right, nothing is happening. Okay, uh, 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 because we are not written any validation script. There is some. So for to write this validation script, so close this particular window and go back to the validation. So I'll be writing a simple script. Okay, if we will be checking the three variables, tw dot local dot employee name is equal to blank, or tw dot local dot employee name is equal to null, then we need to show a error. Okay, so for that, tw dot local dot, so we need to add a error message, system dot add post validation dot add validation errors. So uh, here in this method, we need to pass the variable name. So this will be a employee name here. Okay, employee name, and followed by message I want to display. So I will enter like please enter employee name. Okay. So I given a message like please enter employee name. Now what happens? So I just execute for only for employee name now. So if here what we are checking employee name as a blank. So then what happens if employee name is blank? Then this error message will be got added, and the length will become 0. The length will become greater than 0, and it will come back and to the same screen, and it will show a error messages. Okay, quickly run again. I'm not going to enter anything employee name and submit it. Nothing is happening. Right? Okay, let me check again. So when you click on submit, nothing is happening. Okay, so why it's not happening? No action is performing, right? So check this one again. Close this window. Again, I'll come back to the designer. So here, if you see, we are not binded the button. Okay. So here we have this button. So we have to write the flow, right? So on click of submit button, the validation script should get executed. That flow is not binded. So that's the reason nothing is happening. Select this particular sequence flow and go to select and select this button. Okay, when select this button and finish. So here if you see, now on click of this button, this flow will be triggered and the validation will happen. Okay, so let's run again. Okay, so I'm not going to enter anything. Here, see, if on click of submit, the validation is triggered now. So here it is showing, please enter employee name. Okay, so it is working now. Okay, similar way, we will repeat the same process for other two fields. Okay, just come back to the close that window and come back to the validation. Copy the script, so duplicate for two times. So now I already have an employee name. I need to write for employee ID. So employee ID it is employee ID. So here in the add post validation, here you need to replace with employee name with ID and please enter our ID here. Okay. Similar way for employee address. So again employee address, then copy this employee address, replace with this employee name, and here again we will be checking for employee address. So you replace with employee address and enter here. Please enter employee address. Okay, that's all. So again come back. Okay, again I'll check. I'll run it and check it. I run it. So I'm not gonna enter anything. So just I click on submit. So here you can see first field is employee name. Please enter employee name. Second one employee ID, and third one employee address. Okay. So now I'll enter something details. Okay. Now what it should happen? So it should not show anything, any error messages on click up submit, and it should show me the service has been completed. Okay. So submit. Then it is service has been completed. So because I entered all the details, there is no validations happened. Everything is working fine. Then the flow is got completed. Okay. That's how this validation will work in BPM. Okay, and we have another type of validation. We can perform this validation at the on events. So on click of submit button events, we can perform this validations. So those part I'll cover in the next video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.